That moves us to number 10 on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the September 25th, 2023 board meeting. Do I have a motion? Mr. Hogan.
Make the motion that we approve the minutes of the September 25th, 2023 board meeting.
Do I have a second? Ms. Snipes, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That motion carries 7-0. That moves us to number 11, which is public participation. Before Ms. Taylor announces our public participation guests, the board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes and must remain on either the topic noted on your sign-in form or a listed agenda item. Questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kim Weinbach is here to speak about book banning or book removal from libraries.
Hi. This is my first board meeting, so I'm just kind of learning what's going on and what's happening. And I didn't realize it wasn't on the agenda, so I guess I'm really just here speaking off the cuff because books mean so much to me, and they have for my whole life. I can remember being in kindergarten and I had double pneumonia and I missed so much of school, and my kindergarten teacher would come to my house and she would bring books to me, and they changed my life. And they changed my life in middle school when I was bullied, and they changed my life in high school, and they changed my life in college, and they continue to change my life, and they shape who I am as a person and who I am as a woman and who I am as a mother. And I read 2 to 3 novels a week. I've continued that throughout my life, and I'm very lucky that my kids have continued that, and that they read that much, and that they have found that love of reading too. And the idea of removing books from the library is so appalling to me. I can't find anywhere on the side of history where removing a book has been the right thing to do. Books are a way of escape for many kids. They're a way to travel for many kids. They're a way of learning so many different things. And I know that the book that has been brought up to ban or remove from the high school recently, I think the reason why they want to ban it is because of a few passages that have to do with sex. Well, we're kidding ourselves if we think that that our high schoolers aren't thinking about sex or talking about sex. But if we don't give them that choice to read, then what are we saying? What are we telling our kids? We already are imposing so many rules, and we're saying we don't trust what you're going to check out in the library because of a couple of passages. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong, and I don't believe in it. And I think that we need to tell our kids that we trust in them more than that. And when I was in the 6th grade, they banned, they weren't doing that back then. I'm way too old for that. But they did say that we couldn't read, like Go Ask Alice. A couple of parents did say that. So I remember a couple of us had a copy. And so just because they said that we couldn't read it, we passed it all around the 6th grade. So if you tell somebody they're not going to read it or not to read something, hopefully they're going to all run out and buy it, and they're all going to read it. That's my hope for whatever this book is that you're trying to ban. And there's my time, so I'll be more prepared next time. But I just heard that we were going to talk about that, so I wanted to say that. But anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Kim Murphy is here to speak about spending of excess tax dollars collected.
Good evening. I wanted to talk about the operating budget and the history that District 5 has of collecting more revenue than it needs to meet its budget. This year, the budget that was approved was $232 million. The previous budget was $213 million. It was unprecedented increase, amount of $18 million, and an increase of 19.9 mils, which is huge. Included in that budget, in that millage rate, is the purchase of portables in the amount of $1.5 million, which is not an operating cost and should not be taxed on citizens in the operating budget. Facilities should be taxed under the capital project millage rate. The board packet tonight shows a proposal to spend $6.5 million that was over-collected from taxpayers last year. That's the equivalent of 7 mils. So essentially, the 19.9 mils that you're charging should have been 7 mils less than that. What this shows is that the millage rate that you set for the operating budget is much higher than necessary if it continues to bring in more tax dollars than necessary to meet the budget, a budget that the board approves every year and represents that it must have to operate our schools. I want to point out that not all board members supported that millage increase. So what it looks like is that the board is intentionally over-budgeting expenses, underestimating revenue, or undervaluing the mill to end up with extra money to spend on things that are unrelated to education, to spend it on facilities. I'm very supportive of using the excess dollars to help educate students. I am not supportive of the tax dollars collected under the guise of educating students, but using it on facilities, which have their own funding source. I ask that you develop a policy that will prevent this overcharging, and that when you find there is an excess, that you will reserve it to offset the next year's operating millage rate, or spend it directly on education, not facilities. And I would urge you also to go back and look at the annual financial reports that show a 10-year history of the over-collection of taxes. And I want you to note that each year you will see that it continues to happen. And at the same time, our millage rate continues to go up, but you continue to collect more money. It's helpful to see that. I know this is somewhat of a new board. Thank you very much.
And I believe that concludes public participation.